Hey guys, Shavo here, and this is episode 2 of Zerg Perspectives. In this episode, we're going to feature tier 1.5 units and also build orders for tier 1 and also tier 1.5. I'm going to show you what build orders to go based on your scouting and things of that nature. So the first unit that I'm going to get into here is the Baneling, and the Baneling is a really cool new unit put in for the Zerg for StarCraft 2. Now the Baneling, it doesn't have any kind of attack in a sense that you would think, in that all it does is explode. So the Baneling is morphed from a Zergling, and it requires a Baneling's nest. And let's just take a look at this guy. That is one ugly dude. It's just like this little insect bug-looking creature, but what Zerg isn't. And he's full of this green pus. And he only attacks ground units. And as soon as you tell him to attack a unit, he will just pretty much roll up against that unit and explode. And the green goo does damage to him. Now the goo actually does a lot of damage. So let's take a look at it. It has 30 hit points, so it can withstand 30 hit points worth of damage before it explodes. It has no armor, and it does 20 damage to normal units, and then 35 damage to light units, and this is only ground units. And the range of the Baneling is pretty decent. I guess you could say it's probably just a little bit within these little lights here. So the Baneling, you can set it to attack structures. You can right click on the structure attack and it will automatically attack an enemy structure if it's near one or within its sight range, or you can tell it to explode. Now you can tell the Baneling to explode anywhere at any time just by simply hitting X. And then the Baneling will burst off and the green goo will go everywhere, and any enemy that's near them will get injured or die. So let's go ahead and I'll show you what it looks like to explode. Boom. And there it goes. There's the green goo. It goes everywhere, and whoever was in that little radius there, you could see the radius was kind of encompassing just a little bit inside these lights, and they die. So what requires you to get a Baneling? And that is called a Baneling's nest, and that's this gross looking little hand-like thing building right there. And how do you make a Baneling? First of all, you need to have a Zergling. So once you have your Zergling, it morphs into a Baneling. So you select your Zergling and you can either hit E, or you can come over here and click on the Baneling, or click on the little Baneling icon, and it takes 20 seconds. It costs 25 minerals and 25 gas. So let's go ahead and we'll bring a Zergling up here, and I'll show you what it looks like to morph a Baneling in there. Now to get a Baneling's nest, you have to have a spawning pool, and that's what makes it tier 1.5, in that it's not the first building that you get to where you can make units out of. You have to have a structure to actually build this other structure. So you have to have a spawning pool, and once you get a spawning pool, you can get a Baneling's nest. So let's take a look at this Zergling here. We've covered Zerglings in episode 1, so you should all be familiar with that. And you just click on the Zergling and you hit E. Now what it's going to do, it's going to turn into this like little egg, just like on the larva when a larva forms, and it's going to look all this gross little egg, and you can morph these anywhere. And it will take 20 seconds to morph, and once the Baneling morphs, it'll be like the unit that we just saw, and there it is. So, and you can have it, like I said, attack the structure or explode, or you can do what I like to call the landmines. And I'll get to that a little bit further down when we discuss tier 2. Because the reason it's gonna require tier 2 is because it requires burrow, and in order to get burrow, you need a lair. So anyway, let's go to what I call the minefield here, and I'll show you what the Baneling does to certain units, what units to use the Baneling on, and how to effectively use them. Alright, so now we're on the map that I call Minefield. I designed it specifically for Banelings. I got a whole bunch of units out here, both tier 1 and 1.5. I'm just going to show you a little bit of briefly, what takes what to kill, certain units. So we've got one Baneling that kills a Zergling. It takes 2 Banelings to kill a Marine. It takes 5 Banelings to kill a Zealot because of the shields and then also its hit points. So we're going to kill a Zealot here. It takes 7 Banelings to kill a Marauder. Let's go ahead and we'll take out this Marauder here. It takes 8 Banelings to kill a Roach. because it is an armored unit and it does poorly against, banelings do poorly against armored units, and it takes 9 banelings, that's a 9 right there, to kill a stalker. So now I know what you're thinking here, and that, oh, the baneling sucks, it's terrible, why even use it? Well, the reason the banelings are here is because it's a support unit. It's a harassing unit. So you don't necessarily use it as your main focus of attack. There are some instances to where you can use it very effectively, but it's very situational. So I'm going to show you some of those situations. Now, a good situation to use banelings in is against melee units, light units, but in groups. So let's go ahead and we'll look at some groups here. So we'll take 3 banelings and we'll go ahead and we'll go up against a group of zerglings. And I'll show you just how much damage 3 banelings can do against a group of zerglings. So we've got a group of zerglings back over here, and it's going to take out, a couple of zerglings over here, and that's because they weren't managed well. Now, you really want, the thing about banelings is that you have to manage them or micro them very well for them to be very effective. So now let me show you that again, but then I'll show you how to do it in a micro situation to where you can get the optimum baneling blast, so to say, and utilize the baneling to its fullest potential. So let's go ahead and we'll grab the same amount of banelings here. We'll get 3. And now I'll show you how to do it a little bit better. And you got to remember that the baneling still has 30 hit points, so it can take 30 points of damage before it actually explodes or ignites. So if you're up against zerglings, what you want to do is you want to get these baneling, you want to try and get the zerglings to surround the baneling as best as they can before it explodes. So we'll send in the banelings over here, and we'll just kind of like micro them around and see if they can get, see, and then you take out about 10 or so zerglings. So you can send in another one and then kind of mop up the rest of the zerglings. You just want to kind of get them around there, and then it mops up the rest. So you can pretty much use 2 banelings to kill about 15 zerglings if you micro them right. So now let's go over here and we'll take out some probes. I'll show you some pretty decent probe harassment. So let's take a look at the probes. And the baneling isn't going to explode here because you don't tell it. So these probes are kind of in the manner of being around a mineral line. They're kind of in the arc format and whatnot. So what you want to do is you have to break through their shields, of course, and you get about 4 banelings or so, and you come in and you want to just get them right in the middle, and once they're in the middle you just have them explode, and then you can take out pretty much the entire probe line and still come out, ahead, because it's 50 minerals per probe, and then you just wasted 4 banelings. But then, the use and the harassment level and the harassment value is well worth it. So now let's take a look at a supply depot. Now, a supply depot is a structure, and it's a Terran structure, and this is a very good use for the baneling, and it's called pretty much what a lot of people like to call the baneling bust. And that's where when a Terran starts to wall in, or they wall in, and you can't get in with your zerglings or whatnot, you want to baneling bust them. And pretty much what you do is you get a group of banelings and you set them to attack the structure, right? So then you come up and you just send your banelings in, and they will effectively attack this structure over here, and they will take out a supply depot. I don't know about that baneling went for that probe, but they will take out a supply depot lickety split just like that. And you can have zerglings or speedlings standing by, and you can just go straight through there and do a whole bunch of damage, whole bunch of harassment. So that's a really good use of the baneling, and you can take out 2 or 3 supply depots at once, so that not only does severe economic damage to the Terran player, because you did bust 3 of his supply depots, so that's 300 minerals. You also took down a supply, and you took down his wall. So that's a very good use for banelings, is when you're up against a Terran who walls in. And that's probably the best use, I would say, because I can't tell you how many times I've actually won a game just because I did that bust and shot in a bunch of speedlings in there and took out a whole bunch of SCVs with it as well. So, like I said, the baneling is more of a harassment unit, and you really want to focus on using the baneling for that. So now let's go up against a group of Marines.